I've been shot twice. I've been stabbed 13 times. People done plotted to kidnap my son. So to be standing here today, I'm very grateful. I was groomed to be a drug dealer before I was taught to learn how to read and write. I had no father figure in my life. I had no role models. The only role models I ever had was the people in the streets. A lot of times I couldn't figure out why me. At a young age, I used to have to try to figure out how I was going to eat.
Why is that?
Mama said, why is that?
Oh. Mama, what the is you doing? I stand next to you so I can talk too. Come on. Go ahead. Go ahead. I want you to speak.
So in the 80s, as a kid, you know, it was rough. We was left in the house for days with no food. And we couldn't find our parents.
Where was Grandma?
She was, at that time, we didn't know what across the street was, because we was in the projects, and we had no sense of direction, how even to get out the house. And we used to go to the neighbor's house and ask them for food.
Oh, that's sad. All right, I have my downfall. Let me take it from here.
You told me to talk.
Yeah, but not all that much.
Yeah.
No, man, DC is something you got to know when to chill.
You guys see what actually happened. This is something that literally happens on a normal basis when a grown child goes to their parent to tell them what actually went on with them when they were a kid. The mom usually doesn't want to hear it. She's going to argue whether that person was a male or female. They're going to argue them down. And the first thing she's going to say as a mother, your dad wasn't there. What about your dad? Right? Or either I did the best I could, or I don't know what you're talking about. That didn't happen. They'll literally tell you that your experience, how you felt about them raising you, didn't happen. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Or they'll simply just not remember, which could be the truth. But overall, the one thing that they're not going to do is to allow you to feel the way you feel about how you were raised. This freaking woman walks up there and stands next to him in order to intimidate this man, in order to make him feel guilty about his story and about how he feels. See, the reason why I do what I do isn't to just make women mad and do all these different things. And I'm not running around blaming women. No, the truth is we as black people are raised and programmed to blame all of our problems on our dad. You know, the one who left us, the one who was abusive, whatever our dads were to us. We're brought up to blame everything on him. The reason why your life is the way it is because your dad left, or because your dad was an alcoholic, because your dad was this and that. But if my dad left, or if your dad left, why was I so traumatized? Why did I go through so much turmoil? Why did the streets raise me? All these different things, right? No matter whatever, you know, regardless of whatever your situation was. Because the person that stayed traumatized you worse than the person that left. Because if your dad was so bad, or the man was so bad, and he's gone, wouldn't it be that we all would have had a great childhood, a great life? We wouldn't have been so traumatized in all these various ways? Because the person that stayed traumatized us worse than the person that left. And that's the reason why this woman gets up and stands next to him. And she literally says it. She literally says, you're talking too much. Because he's like, Mom, what are you doing? You said it's okay for me to tell my story. See, what this woman literally did is a perfect example of what may happen to you if you confront your mom and tell her, like, Mom, I didn't get the love that I needed when I was a child. I didn't get the validation I needed when I was a child. And because of that, I have all these relationship issues now. She's going like, no, that's not it. No, I did the best I could. No, I don't know what you're talking about. No, it was your daddy. The secret has to come out. Because like I said, I don't do this for you. You grown. I do this to help save your children. Because when you were a kid, you wanted somebody to save you. And nobody was there. your kid may be feeling the same way. I went through some of the stuff that he went through. I witnessed my mom get beat on a normal basis, and she blamed the men, but she was the one who literally kept the men coming back on a normal basis. And I'm like, you're so mad at this man, but you bring him back in our household. How is it their fault? You're accepting that behavior, and the behavior is around me. You're traumatizing me with your actions. But women don't want to talk about that because it's always a man's fault, right? Well, not anymore. I'm here to expose black families, because it's not me exposing women in particular. It's the families, because a lot of ladies, you don't realize you've been raised wrong. You weren't loved when you were a child, so you may not know how to love your children. See, I'm doing this for your children. So you get mad at me all you want to, because I'm not talking to you. I'm talking for your children. I'm representing your little boy. I'm representing your little girl. So possibly you'll be able to see what these other parents are doing to their grown kids, and you'll be able to say, yo, let me fix my stuff, because the last thing I want is for my kids to grow up and to see me in that same light as Mendices is seeing his mom, because his mom did that stuff, but she didn't want anybody to know. If you're dealing with this in your own life, where you know that your mom traumatized you, your mom abandoned you, made you feel like you weren't loved, whatever it was, and you don't have anybody to talk to, just send me a DM. Let's do a one-on-one if you want to, because sadly, this has to be talked about. We can't keep sweeping these things under the rug. It's not always the men. It's not always, some outside source. Most likely, the source of your trauma was inside of your house, and nobody wants to talk about it. So if your mom was the source of your trauma, and we're not here to blame anybody, but if that one person was the source of your trauma, and you're having trouble dealing with it, or talking to her about it because you know she's going to deflect, justify, or victimize herself, send me a DM. Let's talk. Let's do a one-on-one, and let's deal with this. Because if not now, a lot of her programming is instilled in you. And if you don't get it out, there's a possibility that you may inadvertently or subconsciously traumatize your kid. Because if your mom never taught you how to love, do you actually know how to love? And if so, how did you learn? There's a possibility that you may not know how to do something as simple as love.